The 10-minute drill.
This is a big one.
Covered by Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is universal.
On 1010XL.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hit it.
Oh, yeah, sports concepts and rationalizations coming your way. We call it the 10-minute drill. We bounce around the sports world from last night, bang around some concepts and rationalizations, fight each other, and then at the end of the segment, we give out a wonderful prize pack. If you're the correct caller at 641-1010. Beef, what are we handing out today on this Thanksgiving week?
Stay tuned for that. At the end of the 10-minute drill, one lucky Guggen's going to take home lunch or dinner for two from Chick-fil-A and some airport parking from our friends at usapark.net.
Also, a little bit later today, we're very excited to kick off a little two-day contest, Thanksgiving Day at the Prossers. So you and a lucky Guggen will be heading over to Jeff's on Thursday.
Yeah, sure. Come on over.
And breaking bread with Jeff and his
fantastic.
family. And
God knows Dan and his family won't come.
No. What time is the meal?
That's still up in the air. I don't
Still
know.
up in the air,
I have no idea. That's my way of saying I'm not sure. I'll be there to eat, though.
The only stipulation
I think we're going early. I think one of my boys, girlfriends has to work in the evening in retail or something, so we'll probably go earlier than normal this year.
The only
we're
ask
hosting
is,
my side of the family at my house. I did something yesterday. I set a personal best yesterday, a personal record. Mm-hmm. My daughter is home for a few days from school.
Oh, no.
And
oh, dear.
I found myself with her riding shotgun as we went to get a Christmas tree yesterday, Dan Hicken, a Christmas tree.
Pre-Thanksgiving.
Well, I'll give her credit on one thing. She is right. Thanksgiving this year.
It's late.
Little known, it's the latest it can be.
Yeah.
It can't be any later than the 28th. And so some years it's the 22nd and you already have a tree by now. And I let that logic win me over.
Very
as long
nice.
as you got to keep the girls happy, Hick. You know
Did you put the tree up?
Oh, yes, I did.
All right. The tree is up.
I don't do the trimming. They can have fun doing that.
I'll start sports concepts and rationalizations with
then I'm going to make your day, friend. I'm going to give you a scenario you didn't know existed.
Wonderful. By asking Beef a question. I need him to explain
Yes,
himself. Melo went off last night.
It's like 25.
And he went off against the Chicago Bulls.
It was
Your
a
thoughts?
revenge game. That's ex-Bull legend Carmelo Anthony spent a glorious 5 days as a member of the franchise. Never actually suited up, but obviously.
Was there a pregame ceremony? Did they have a video tribute to Melo?
I did. Our friend Sticks Devitt actually tweeted it out. It was a beautiful tribute video. It had the report of him being traded by the Bulls and then the Woj tweet announcing that he'd be released.
Melo, if you miss it, what do you have, like 28?
25.
25 against
25.
the
He
Bulls.
looked good.
Dan, I'm looking at this game against
While I was there.
Way to play D.
I'm looking at this game against the Bucks this weekend, and you know
Yes.
what we might have at
Milwaukee?
all? No, the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Oh.
And I'm kind of thinking we might have
Yeah.
what we've never had here. It
What's
doesn't
that?
seem like, or it's been a lot of years.
What's that?
A back and forth, high scoring, fun game to watch.
Well,
it looks like that, doesn't it?
No, Jeff, because that would imply that the Jaguars' offense is going to get off the schneid and score some points.
I think they will.
They really haven't done in 2 weeks.
The Bucks aren't exactly the Colts and the Titans.
Maybe they're going to be doing the back part.
And it's a home game.
Yeah. I think the part about the Bucks scoring a lot of points will be fun.
Wow.
And I think you'll see.
We've gone in opposite directions in 24
As I
hours.
said in downtime, I think we'll learn that the back end of the Jags defense is just as bad as the front end. And I think the 200-yard streak will probably end in terms of rushing.
We'll start a 400-yard passing streak.
But I think we'll start a passing streak with Jameis and Phillip in the next couple of weeks.
Phillip's not playing good football, by the way.
Well, I know a cure-all for him.
Very quietly.
It's called play the Jags.
Yeah. It's sure. Speaking of the Jags, I watched Monday Night Football last night, Dan, and in the Rams, I see a team that is headed down quick, and in history may show that the Jags absolutely ripped off.
Oh.
Here's the problem. We said this is the trade, and people don't want to believe it because I understand what a good player Jalen was here relative to the roster. But the deal with cornerbacks is it's not a prevalent enough position to change the fortune of a game or a franchise.
Well, he didn't affect last night's game, that's for sure. And think about this. Now, the Jags have 2 first-round picks, and I got news for you. If you do a quick autopsy on the Rams as they are sinking fast, Todd Gurley's finished. Okay, there's no coming back from what he's got. He's got a bad wheel, and he will never be the same. He might have a game here and there. He will never be the MVP candidate that he was. He's done. Because he's done, and the fact that the offensive line is horrible, the $110 million man, Jared Goff, is very average right now, which really negates boy wonder kid over there on the sideline. It's not so easy when you don't have great players. When you have great players,
what happened to the Rams?
They had their moment and they're done. And I'm telling you, I don't think it gets better next year.
They're going to have salary cap hell.
Right.
Yeah.
They're saddled with all these guys who they paid,
including a couple of hours.
On top of that, and this is why football in LA is a disaster. We've already chronicled how bad the Chargers are, like so bad that people want them to go to London. People want them to go back to San Diego. Just get them out of there. Well, I read there's a great article, if you haven't read it, at ESPN.com by Wickersham and Van Natta. I don't know if you know those two, where they explored the dysfunction. I don't want to get into the whole article right now because this is a 10-minute drill. I just want to tell you there's one fact, that the Rams' new stadium set to open next year. Okay, Jeff Prosser, you build a house. Mm-hmm. We did this. We built our house 17 years ago. All right, so
you and I did. I didn't know we had.
No, me and my wife.
Oh, okay.
BWR. We built a house.
17 years already, huh?
Yeah, she comes to me and says, I don't want the driveway going straight into the garage. I want it to turn. Well, wait a minute. We already have the plans. They're doing that. Yeah. Well, I can't. It's a deal breaker. Okay, well, call the guy and ask him what it would take. Well, it took $14,000. That's what we call a cost overrun. So as you plan to build your house, you're scraping together any bits and pieces, and then you decide, I really want this kind of hardwood floor going in there. That's a cost overrun. And in the end, the house may cost you an extra, I don't know, $10,000 to $20,000 than what you thought.
That's pretty common.
And you roll it into your payments, and, it is what it is. But if you're building a new house, you want to have it as close to what you want as you could possibly get. So, with that in mind,
I pitched a tent once.
The Rams planned out their house, and the original cost was less than 5 years ago, $1.86 billion.
That should be enough to cover it.
That is a hefty tag. Now, again, folks, we're not talking million. We're talking billion with a B, right? Well, here it is, 2019. It's set to be done for 2020. Do you know how much it costs, Jeff? More than, are you ready for this? $6 billion.
Ooh. How's that possible? What are they making? Everything out of gold?
So they're all around it.
And it's for such an unappreciating fan base because here's what's going to happen. Already no one cares about the Chargers.
Yeah.
And then the Rams, by the way, are going to get bad, and then suddenly no one's going to care about them either. And the NFL will have built this big stadium, I guess, to host Super Bowls because the team's there. It's going to be a hard sell to get them.
The Chargers can't sell the PSLs, which those costs go to the Kroenke to defray the cost of the six. Now, look, Kroenke's going to make a mint off this stadium. It's going to be a beautiful stadium. They'll use it for Super Bowls and Final Fours and other things. So he's going to get a ton of money. But $6 billion, that's like more than Jerry's World, the last four stadiums combined. Oof.
Yeah.
I got news for you, gang. At some point here in Jacksonville, we got some work to do on ours. It's now one of the oldest stadiums in the NFL.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Other than just the cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, we can get into that later, but it's amazing.
You had a scenario yesterday.
How do you miss by $3 billion plus, Jeffrey?
You have way too much money.
Do you fire the guy, the builder?
You have too much money if you're building anything for $1 billion to begin with.
If the guy comes to you and says, Jeff, I know you're building this house. It's going to cost. It'll cost us $175,000. But we made a couple mistakes.
It's going to be $600,000.
It's going to be $650,000.
Yeah.
Don't you fire the guy?
Either that or I'm homeless. Yeah, I can't.
Can't do that.
Sorry, I can't afford $600,000.
I can't make that happen.
It looks lovely,
friend.
but I didn't ask for this. Yeah, you ought to have some sort of high end that if you give the said estimate, if it goes too much higher.
By the way, as you're building your dream home, Jeffrey, I have another bit of bad news. We had a lot of rain this year, so we're going to be a year late.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I kind of need a place to live,
I'm sorry.
Oh. So they were supposed to be in this year?
Yes.
Oh, that's bad.
Anyway.
You were yesterday fretting and asking. We talked a little bit about Florida getting one of those New Year's Six bowls.
Yes.
Are you ready for some better news?
Yes.
First of all, I read a story yesterday that it's almost a certainty that the Gators are going to at least get the Cotton.
Based on the fact that they win.
Just, because of other teams losing. They're going to be the highest ranked, and they have to take them. It won't be up to the whims of some bowl. So there are scenarios where it looks like it'll just naturally fall into, maybe the Cotton.
Yes.
But Dan Hicken, ask you why stop there.
Why stop? Let's go for the orange.
You ready?
Yes.
Natty? You want to go for the orange?
Final four?
Let me ask you a couple questions here real quick. Let's say Alabama loses to Auburn.
Okay.
That's
feasible, but
sure,
unlikely.
At Auburn with Mac Jones, I think it's better than feasible.
Alabama has never beaten Auburn in Auburn when Auburn was a top 25 team in the Iron Bowl.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So let's say Alabama loses to Auburn.
But I think that Alabama will win, but go ahead.
Let's say Utah loses to Oregon in the Pac-12 title game.
Okay.
Sounds pretty.
Sure.
Let's say Oklahoma
Okay.
loses Bedlam to Oklahoma State.
Okay.
But beats Baylor
Okay.
in the Big 12 title game.
Okay.
And let's say Minnesota loses to either Wisconsin or Ohio State, which they probably will, right? All
Sure.
those seem, except for the Alabama, those are all
Doable.
very doable.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you can just get Georgia Tech to upset Georgia, guess who's in the 4?
Did you try to slide that one by me?
I'm getting
The
all
Florida
right.
Gators.
I don't think, or we need Georgia to lose to LSU like 52-0. I can't see Florida jumping Georgia, but all those other teams would be jumped in that scenario.
Uh-huh.
Can we get the Gates from 8 to 4? Would it be the biggest miracle ever? Huh?
Well, it'd be miraculous.
How does that fit your Cotton Bowl plans, friend?
Be a little bit like 96 all over again.
So
Which is pretty cool.
That's all you need, Gator fan. You need Alabama to lose to Auburn.
Yeah.
You need Utah to lose to Oregon.
Yeah.
You need Oklahoma to lose to Oklahoma State, then beat Baylor.
Yeah.
And then, LSU pounds Georgia by 50, and we're in. Don't even need Georgia Tech.
I love it.
Huh?
I love it.
Why not?
Make it happen. We shall see.
Go Gators. Beat those dogs.
Is that Herbs?
That's Herbs.
Well, he had a lot of fire in him
Herbs
on
is
that
ready
one.
to go.
What is it? Is it Gators?
There's one. Can I? Like,
Did I work
Can
there?
I tamp back one? There's plenty of rightful, veritable criticism for your football operation when they're performing as bad as the Jaguars are, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the one narrative to me that is just being way overblown, and I blame our side, the media side, for this, creating this narrative.
Mm-hmm.
But this narrative that Tom Coughlin is somehow hiding is about the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Okay.
Dan, I mean, we follow the NFL. GMs and presidents of football operations don't go in front of the media every week.
No.
They go at the end of the year at the GM's meeting. That's what the head coach does.
Yeah.
And if you're unhappy with something that is above the head coach at the end of the year, because while we want to, win every game and fire people when you don't, they are going season to season here.
Yes.
And so to ask Tom Coughlin to comment on a big picture thing when they're still trying to beat the Bucs, we may think it's crazy.
Yeah.
We may think they stink and won't win another game. We don't want them to think that. They don't think that. So for Tom Coughlin to come out and hold a press conference every time they waive, release, trade is silly.
I will agree with you on one point, and I'll disagree with you on another. I will agree with you on this point. Everybody said it. Marone and Coughlin. How could that work? Coughlin's too, hands-on. He'll want to do everything, and he backed off in the respect of it's Doug's team. Doug talks. So, and I think he's done a great job at that, and to the point that at times he does make himself unavailable. With that said, I think during the Ramsey thing, Tom or Dave should have spoke and talked about, especially after the trade and such. And I think at that point they should have talked. Look,
I mean, in fairness, like not contradicting Jeff necessarily, just saying Les Snead, the Rams GM, did have a press conference after the Ramsey trade.
Yeah, so I think
Okay.
right there.
All right.
That's my only. Otherwise, I agree with you.
I think the connotation of hiding.
Yeah, I
that's
don't
how
agree
they
with that.
do business.
Yeah,
There's some. Unless Steve may have.
Yeah.
But unless every single GM is when they do those things. I just
Usually, a
don't-
personnel guy will talk though when there's a trade of that magnitude.
Yeah,
that's
that's
all.
fair. That's fair.
With that said, I do think there's a listen. I've been around this franchise the whole time. 25 years, and right now is a tough time. There's no doubt. It's no fun to be down there, and now everybody knows jobs are on the line. Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? And there's some things that we need to examine, and we can do this when we come back. But look, you can find fault with everybody here. You can find fault, or you can find – I can sit here and tell you why this guy should stay, why this guy should go, why this guy should stay, why this guy should go. But I do think there is – I don't know the exact word here, but somewhat of a disconnect between coach and front office.
Well, that seems that way with Doug. Doug
that
presents
happens.
This. I don't know. He presents as if he's being left out to twist in the wind.
Yeah,
what he says and the way he says it gives you that impression that's what he feels.
But I think that happens when you lose. I mean, it's natural.
That's for sure.
It's natural. So anyway, we'll discuss the Jags and kind of the state of the Jaguars here at 4-7 with staring at a
double-digit losses most likely. The way they're playing.
Yeah, just not.
I will
not,
say
not
this
fun.
as far as Foles. The guy had 10 snaps against a really good team, the Chiefs, and got hurt.
Yeah.
Then he comes off of this long break with back-to-back road games against 2 divisional opponents that are playing pretty good defense this year.
Well,
so let's get home, and maybe we can get some momentum for Nick Foles at the tail. There's still some things that can be positive for this football team. Obviously, we're not winning the Super Bowl.
And the Minshew versus Foles is full-blown right now, and Marone admitted yesterday on the conference call that he's not saying Foles is going to be the quarterback for the rest of the year, but right now Foles gives us the best chance to win. And I don't think it's ludicrous at all to sit there and say you got to find out what you got. Some people keep saying, well, we got to find out what we have with Gardner Minshew. Well, we've seen a good portion of Gardner Minshew, so that's a good thing. And I feel pretty confident with what we have with Gardner Minshew, a young guy who's got a lot to learn still, but who has had some great moments for this team and kept this team afloat for a long time.
The only thing as to the Minshew discovery that I would slightly disagree with you there is, we saw him running hot, but we haven't seen him once the league has a good idea of what he's doing. His last game out, he was terrible.
Correct.
2 sacks, 2 fumbles.
Yes.
2 interceptions. They didn't play good at all.
Right.
So making sure that that one wasn't more indicative than the other 7, I think could still be learned. But and
listen, if the
if
Jags
you go back to Minshew, then you're probably getting rid of Foles.
I don't know if the Jags lose Tampa, Chargers, Oakland, and Foles is 0-5.
Yeah, no,
and you want Minshew to play the last 2? I got no problem with that either.
I guess it depends on whatever you're meeting at over there. And do you have those meetings week to week, or are they come at the end of the year? What is your long-term plan and vision now for the position?
Yeah. Anyway,
it's pretty dangerous to sit Foles, I think, in that case.
Beef, let's do caller number 4 at 641-1010. Remind them what they're going to get. We'll come back and talk some more Jaguars next here on The Drill.
Caller number 4 right now, 641-1010. Going to take home lunch or dinner if you choose for 2 at Chick-fil-A and some airport parking from our friends at usapark.net. Call number 4 right now, 641-1010.